This is the first part of a 7-part active shooter preparedness and response training course. I'm Michael Melton. I'll be your instructor for this course, and there will be 6 additional videos besides this video that'll carry you through the course. The course was prepared for the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health during my employment with that agency. And for 6 years, we presented it as an in-person course. And then it transitioned to an online delivery course in response to the COVID outbreak. My background includes substantial experience with firearms, safety, and response, beginning with the first exposure of my life to firearms was as a 2-year-old when my father was killed in 1951 by a gunshot. Subsequently, during my childhood in South Alabama, I was fortunate to live in the country. And from age 6 to age 18, I was an avid hunter, starting with a BB gun, progressing rapidly to a single shot shotgun and then a rifle, and subsequently to other weapons until I left to join the Navy in 1968. In the Navy, then my skills progressed with exposure to various weapons, which then led to my employment with LAPD from 71 to 01, 30-year career, followed by from 2004 to 2022, a 17-year career with the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. In that time, I was also an avid hunter in various states and with various weapons over the years. So this constitutes my substantial experience with firearms safety and response. During this course, you'll be exposed to the lessons that I've learned, as well as the FEMA IS 907 course, which uses the Run, Hide, Fight video, and then as part of an independent study course, gives various explanation of the tactics for these different response options. But in the course, I also have employed various tools and strategies from my experience in law enforcement, security, military, and emergency management to give a greater depth of understanding about the different ways you might prepare and respond to an active shooter event. Because we're covering so much ground here, it may feel like you are drinking from a fire hose, and I'm sorry for that. I wish we could be in a classroom setting where we could have a free exchange of information, which is obviously the best process for adult learning. But we have had good results with this curriculum presenting it in this way, and feel you will be given some tools and resources that you can use to follow up as well. I just have here detailed my experience with the police department as well as some with the Navy for qualifying as an expert with a 45 caliber pistol and being trained with the rifle. I also have degrees in public administration and a master's in teaching and curriculum, as well as technology based education. I also taught at LA Harbor College on criminal investigation and security, as well as testified as a subject matter expert in civil cases in Los Angeles County Superior Court at various times over a 10-year period. During my 17 years with the LA County Department of Public Health, my primary focus was emergency operations and especially medical countermeasures, as have been so important in the COVID response. But also between 2015 and 2022, I was asked to support the development and delivery of this active shooter training to staff. When we did the last in person delivery, There were 24 students in February of 2020, and at the conclusion of that course, 20 of those 24 gave the course 10 out of 10 as their level of satisfaction. And for all 24, the average was 9.6 out of 10. However, when we switched to the virtual only, where we used WebEx for delivery of the course in March of 2022, I was, of course, very concerned that that previous high level of satisfaction might diminish. And I was really impressed and pleased when the 415 participants in that 3 hour delivery, 243 of them submitted their evaluation, and the level of satisfaction continued to remain at the 95 percentile, with 66% saying they strongly agreed that they were satisfied with the training. In that same group, 97% indicated that they found the course's content to be useful during various kinds of public health emergency, including evacuation, fire, earthquake, or other imminent threat. So this overall satisfaction of 97% was, I think, an outstanding outcome, and it encouraged me to take the show on the road, so to speak. As a newly retired person, I converted the content of the course to a neutral template for demonstration of these videos, and am now delivering that content for the public's use in case it can help you be better prepared for an active shooter event, should that eventuality occur in your life. Hopefully not, but being prepared is the watchword. This course, as I said, will have 7 total parts, with this part 1 estimated to take 25 minutes, and you'll get the pre-event interventions and strategies other than the presenter's bio and the agenda as the primary part. Only in this slide am I giving you the anticipated time amounts of the other parts of this course, including the 2 videos that will be shown. We're getting ready now to start with detection of signs of a problem and opportunities for pre-event interventions. In law enforcement, they always preach that prevention is the first goal. If you can prevent the crime, you're doing the most effective solution to the problem. And so we want to address active shooter event in the same way. The preparedness includes the ability to detect the problem earlier and hopefully take effective action to prevent the shooting incident from ever occurring. That'll be the focus of this part 1. Preparing yourself and staff, there are known violence indicators. These don't guarantee that a violent act will occur, but they show that there may be a delayed but progressive collection of actions that lead to a violent level of attack later. So, as the lower intensity incident is detected, it's an opportunity to respond and prevent the higher level of threat that might occur. These can originate from a former employee as well as a current employee. They can originate from an acquaintance of a current or former employee, a regular customer, client, or contractor staff, or an unaffiliated person altogether. Later in part 2, we'll show the statistics from the FBI about an 18-year period and when and where these active shooter events were most likely to occur. And you'll get more information at that time. But for right now, we're focusing on the workplace threat. This first part, part 1, deals with indicators that you're most likely to see in the workplace, although obviously the active shooter event can occur other than the workplace. Emotional and psychological indicators such as depression or withdrawal, increasingly severe mood swings, noticeably unstable emotional response, unexplained increase in absenteeism, and obviously there can be many reasons for absenteeism that don't relate to aggressive behavior. But what we want to watch for is anything that's progressing toward aggressive behavior. And that behavior can include paranoia, verbal indicators, resistance and overreaction to change in policies and procedures, explosive outburst of anger or rage without apparent provocation, suicidal comments such as put things in order. There was one incident where the person who engaged in an active shooter event in a workplace had actually asked a coworker to sign his will. That isn't automatically indicative of someone who's planning to commit violent acts or suicidal activity, but if someone starts talking about putting their affairs in order, that's a reason to be concerned. Talk of severe financial problems or previous instances of violence. So, previous violence is an indicator of potential for future violence, and anger management or other kinds of intervention may be appropriate. Physical indicators: increased use of alcohol or illegal drugs, noticeable decrease in appearance or personal hygiene, repeated violations of employers' policies are actions that you can visually observe in an individual, and these can be indicators of potential future threat that might need to have action to intervene early. Indicators of attack preparation and or intent, unusual questions about security procedures, interest in entry points to the building, hours of operation, access control, security, closed circuit television cameras, etc. Standing in the same area over multiple days, attempts to disguise appearance from visit to visit, avoidance of security cameras, clothing not appropriate to the season, such as a heavy coat or something that might cover a weapon being concealed under the clothing, note taking or sketching, new or increased advocacy of violence. These are attack preparations or intent indicators. When you have one of these indicators and you observe it in someone at your workplace or somewhere even possibly not at your workplace, but for this purpose at your workplace, you want to make sure that you report the actions or threats to your supervisor, to security, or to human resources. Encourage and empower other staff to report as well. There's a couple of different programs for this. One is see something, say something. And that something doesn't have to rise to the level of criminal action. It can just be one of those indicators that were presented earlier. The other incident is a security incident report, and this can be for something other than a crime. With law enforcement, they used to, when I first got hired into law enforcement, they only took reports if there was a crime. But then an LAPD person by the name of Sandy Jo MacArthur began to emphasize the value of suspicious activity reports, or SARS. The suspicious activity report policy has actually become now a nationally adopted policy, and law enforcement can take a SARS report even when there's not all the elements of a crime, but the activity is potentially suspicious. And then there are criminal intelligence units who look at those SARS reports as possible links to other things that happen later. And prevention chances will improve with increased awareness to potential warning signs and rapid response to observed problems. You need to not let it go to the point of the actual violent incident beginning if you can at all intercede at an earlier point in time. So now we'll talk about emergency management at DPH facilities. Now, of course, you're not likely to be an employee of LA County Department of Public Health, but you're likely to be an employee of someone. So knowing that your facility, your workplace facility, probably has an emergency operations plan, and knowing that there may be an assigned building emergency coordinator with specific responsibilities can be valuable to your preparation. If you do have such a person with these assignments, that person will be involved in posting the security procedures for the floor or for the building, including the evacuation route and conducting the fire drills, etc. So the establishment of these security responsibilities of emergency building coordinator can be valuable to helping in preparation, but it may or may not be present at your company's facility. These additional responsibilities might include in large buildings having a floor warden, and as I said, conducting the annual fire drill or pre-designating any safe areas, whether that's outside the premise as a congregation area or inside the premise. Just keep aware that in an active shooter event, when you flee a building, you don't all go to the designated safe area for a fire evacuation. In a fire evacuation, you all want to go to the designated external safe area to be accounted for. In an active shooter event, you don't want to all go to the same area. You want to disperse to an array of safe areas so that you're not in danger of additional threat from the shooter. Finally, here, as we talk about the building emergency coordinator, they prepare the floor exit plans for these evacuations and serve as a liaison during emergencies and make sure the building emergency plans are prepared. And the building emergency plans go beyond just fire, they also apply to other emergencies such as workplace violence and designate different personnel responsibilities as well as training options for staff to be prepared. The building emergency plan not only includes the floor plan and map, but the designation of the safer areas. It can include the communications plan for the facility as far as phone numbers, local hospitals, and what police and fire agencies serve the area. That is the end of this part one. Now we will be moving to the second video, which will deal with the different incidents, about 9 different incidents and lessons learned from them, as well as statistics for active shooter events that allow you to make safe assumptions because you will not have all the information you need when you decide how to act in an active shooter event. So you need the statistics to help you make evidence-based assumptions before you decide on the proper course of action. So those will be part of section 2 of this training. My contact information is provided here.